is going on, people? We are Tottenham TV, back with another live stream. It's Wednesday on an international break. We are 10 days away from the next game. So we are 10 days away from another match and more talking points. So we got to come up with our own content today. We've got to think of things to talk about. But there is some news which we're going to go through. But Brian Daigle's in the house. And we know it's a good day when Brian Daigle's in the house. How are we doing, Brian?
We're doing good, buddy. We're doing good. You know what? I put a tweet out yesterday. Going into an international break with a Spurs win is so much. It's normally like you want to hibernate because it's like, oh, can we just get back to Tottenham? I am floating around right now like Modric does in a midfield. I am just so happy and relieved that we go into this international break with a win.
I couldn't remember the last time. I mean, I can't remember what that feels like.
Exactly. It's incredible, isn't it? It's relaxing.
Having to mull over a loss and be depressed for 2 weeks.
Exactly. We can talk about good stuff.
Exactly. Yeah, look, you said in your last time you were in the studio, you've never been more excited to be a Tottenham fan. You got a bit of backlash for that. How could you? You forgot Pochettino, Brian, so quickly.
It's not. See, this is what, when people take my words and try to mix them to how they want to say it.
You're more excited now than when the Champions League final?
The start of Poch, we got off to a really bad start. Then we had Poch. Don't get me wrong, Poch, his football, the players were doing incredible. But we had a chairman that always let us down. Right now, we got the right manager, an elite backroom staff, rid of Levy. The quality of players we've brought in have been better than any window we did with Poch for the amount of people, like the 4 players. And it's a whole new outlook of excitement of this club going forward post-Levy than it ever has been going into an exciting time with Levy. So I stand by my words. I have never been so excited. I'm even going to add the word optimistic. I'm going to add words for people to berate. So I am positive, excited, and more optimistic as a Spurs fan than I ever have been for what's going on at our football club on and off the pitch.
You hear that, haters? He ain't backing down. He's doubling down.
I'm doubling down, trebling down. I'll come up with a different word every single time I come in.
Cantab says Brian Modric.
I'll take that.
Calling you.
Oh, well, mate, I'll take that.
The playmaker of the Tottenham fan base.
I'll take that. Better than Luka Daigle, isn't it?
Luka Daigle.
Luka Daigle or Brian Modric?
I think I prefer Luka Daigle.
You think you prefer that?
Yeah.
It's like Ben Simeone, isn't it?
Ben Simeone, which could be making a return, people. Watch this space. Let's get into a Tottenham update, as there's a bit of news to go through over the last 24 hours with players on international break, giving some quotes. But we got a bit of transfer news coming from Fabrizio Romano. Interesting one, this one. He reported today Orlando City are interested in Richarlison. Orlando presented their long-term vision to Richarlison's team. No financial terms were discussed. Tottenham still consider Richarlison an important player. I feel like this is obviously off the back of a summer where it was linked to many clubs out in America, not in America, sorry, that was in Brazil and Saudi, which he turned down. He didn't want to make those moves. I think Tottenham for a while have been open to offers for Richarlison, but he himself said he came to Thomas Frank in the summer, said, I'm not leaving. I want to be part of this team. I want to achieve something at Spurs. I want to be an important player, because obviously his injuries have held him back a lot.
Yep.
When he has been on the pitch, I think by and large has been pretty good, but obviously there are some bad performances in there as well. But Orlando must have, why do you think they're pitching a proposal to Richarlison about a long-term vision if they didn't have some inkling that he would make that move? They're clearly trying to sell him, come here, be their franchise player like Sonny's been for LAFC. MLS are trying to get more talent into their league, and they're trying to build up the league. So Richarlison's a player they've targeted. Obviously, he's currently our number 1 striker. 3 goals this season, although recent performances haven't been too great. But performances at the beginning of the season were fantastic. Do you think this actually could be one that happens in the next year or so?
There's always talk, isn't there, regarding Richarlison. He's said, I want to stay and fight for my place, which you could commend for him doing that. But I've also seen, read and heard, and obviously this is coming because of the connection with Thomas Frank, that Ivan Toney is a very big possibility, and being spoken about possibly being reunited with Thomas Frank, and obviously those 2 and 2 makes 4, isn't it? When you think about Thomas Frank and Ivan Toney. If Ivan Toney was available, I think Ivan Toney is just the guy, or kind of guy we need for the way he is. He gives the teams a horrid time, doesn't he? And he does score goals. He regularly scores goals. He's doing very, very well in the Saudi League. So maybe there is more to that, and Richarlison is possibly a make weight. He's had to be leading the line right now. And one thing we can say, whether it's through his fitness regime or the way Spurs are looking after him, he hasn't got injured, which is, I think, incredible for the first 2 months of the season.
Yeah.
But he doesn't score the goals regularly, does he? Whether it's been we haven't got the ball to him or he can't hold the ball up and make opportunities himself. So if he was to go, I'd be fine with it. I really would, just because we need to now get a ruthless goal scoring, a flat trap bully that will give defenders an absolute torrid time and be able to do more things like hold the ball up, like get to the box and be more clinical. And as much as people may not want Ivan Toney or not agree with what I'm saying, if Ivan Toney came to this football club, he scores goals. But with Richarlison, which is the main point of this, would he go there? I mean, you got to look, Reguilon's just gone into Miami.
Well, just a quick point here. A commenter in a chat, he's saying, his name's Ernest. He says, I'm in Orlando. There's a big Brazilian population here. He has more followers on social media than the rest of our players put together. He'd be a big deal for Orlando, but I don't see it happening before the World Cup.
There you go.
A bit like how LAFC sold to Son. You know, we've got a massive Korean population here. You'll feel at home.
Yep.
You know, you'll be very well supported. You'll have a massive fan base. And even though the league's not as good, will make you feel happy here. You'll be happy here. Maybe Orlando is selling something very similar to Richarlison. Big Brazilian population.
Yep.
You will feel at home here. You'll feel loved here. And maybe that's what they're trying to sell to him.
And not only that, Richarlison would be a massive success there, wouldn't he? Let's face it. He would be a huge success there. He would be amongst the goals. And that could be a key part of it. Maybe he wants to change in culture and to be around more Brazilians and whatever. And if the guy that's commented or lady that's commented about that from Orlando, that could be a massive swaying point, couldn't it? For personal reasons, not football reasons.
But how much? A lot will depend, obviously, on how things go this season. I know recently he hasn't had the best of time, but at the beginning, like the first month of the season, he was playing really well.
Yep.
I think at the moment it's tough for him because he's our only kind of recognised striker. He could do a bit of support from Solanke and Mawani. If he does put in a lot more performances like he was showing earlier in the season, and maybe finishes the season our top goal scorer, then maybe, you know, we won't want to let him go.
Yeah, I mean, I do think a big part of what's happening with his game right now is we are having to heavily rely on him. Yes, we used Tel on Saturday and successfully, but he is the only outright striker that is available to Thomas Frank and Spurs right now. Maybe whether Solanke and Mawani or both of them back and available, it gives him the rest and he's fresher to play in games. So there could be that as well. But I do think at any time if Richarlison goes, I'm not going to be crying over spilt milk, so to speak.
I wonder, because they're saying it's a long-term project, I wonder if they're saying, look, you don't have to do anything now. We're not even talking about the summer. Maybe a couple years down the line, you know, consider this. Think about this.
How long's left of this contract?
Richarlison, I would predict 2 years, but I don't know for sure. Let me see. Richarlison contract up 2027, so 2 years.
Okay.
So maybe it's one, I guess, with 1 year left on his deal.
Exactly. Yeah, that's going to be you either commit or we're going to get rid of you, isn't it? Because I can't see.
Maybe it's one that happens in the summer if you know, things still haven't quite clicked for him here. Maybe that's something. So I think that's quite an interesting update from Romano about Orlando and the fact that they're putting a proposal to him, because I don't think they put it to him if they don't think there's a possibility it can happen.
You got to remember, if the World Cup, or when the World Cup comes, and it will be the success that it will be, a lot of eyes are going to be focusing on the MLS and how they progress and what they do moving forward to keep the momentum going. And someone like Richarlison going to the MLS would be a huge coup for them, wouldn't it?
Massive. So yeah, that is the Richarlison news. Let's talk about João Palhinha. He was in Portugal doing a press conference, obviously for the upcoming internationals, and he was asked about last season, his failed move to Bayern Munich and how the move to Tottenham has been. He said, last season was a difficult season for me. I was injured and I was out for longer than I expected. After that, I didn't get the chances that I think I deserved at Bayern, which also had an impact on my playing time with the national team. But these are phases. Our careers thrive on phases. Now I'm going through a happy phase in my life, a new club, a new project in a league that's not new to me and that I'm enjoying again. At Tottenham, I've had chances I didn't have before. I feel complete confidence in the people who wanted me to join the club, in this case, the manager. When we feel this confidence and that we're wanted somewhere, I think that's where we should be. I made this decision very easily. These chances are making me once again show what I'm capable of, and I'm very happy with this new challenge and just want to enjoy the Premier League to the fullest. I think that's quite interesting quotes there from him, because is he implying Company maybe didn't want him? Because obviously, if you remember, he had a deadline day move to Bayern fall through the summer before, and Company was a manager then.
Yep.
So he was manager of Burnley. A year later, Company gets appointed and they signed him anyway.
Yep.
Was that a club signing? Was that a signing maybe Company didn't really agree with, and off the back of that didn't trust him or didn't give him maybe a fair shake of it? Right, and then he's come, and now he's saying he feels the love for the manager. He feels really wanted. He feels like he's been brought to a club who really want him. And now we're seeing the true level of Palhinha at Tottenham.
I'll tell you what, I wish we were blessed with club signings of that quality over the previous years. Yeah, it does sound that way, doesn't it? But also, with Palhinha, when you're at Fulham, with no disrespect for them, Bayern Munich coming for you, you're going to, any chance you get that opportunity, you're going to take it, as any player would. And it hasn't worked out, as we know. Like, it didn't work out. I don't think Tell was a company type player either, was he? Because they got rid of him as soon as they could. And thank God Vincent Kompany didn't want him, and he had other players that he thought could do the midfield job better for him. Because I wish we'd got him before he went to Bayern Munich. When that Bayern Munich deal fell through, he's been exactly what we needed. I still think, honestly, and I think I had this conversation with you, who knows what would have happened if Ange Postecoglou had a Palhinha? Who knows what would have happened with the team and the style of football he wanted to play? But that's old news now. He's here. It's great to see. A lot of fans when Thomas Frank came in were, has he dealt with big players? Can he deal with the egos? Can he attract quality? Well, he did it with Kudus. He's obviously done it with Palhinha, who is an elite player in his position. And it's great to hear him. The great thing for us is when he came here, we knew he was going to settle in life in London, didn't we? We know he knew London. We knew he could speak the language. We knew what he could do. This league is made for him, isn't it? To do what he does. And I'm just delighted he's feeling that way. And I think he's probably ready to put pen to paper to make it permanent. And
Sounds like it, doesn't it?
Yeah, I just hope Tottenham Hotspur do it in January. I really do.
And off the back of his early performances, what he's saying here, it sounds like an unbelievable coup how we've got him, because you cast your mind back a year ago when Bayern did sign him. He was so highly sought after. A lot of big clubs were looking at Palhinha, and it's mad how 1 year. I know, look, we're a fairly big club, but after just one bad year at a top club, and your stock can fall so much that we're able to get him on a loan with an option to buy for as little as 25 million. When they signed him for, must have been about 50 million.
I can't remember the exact fee, but it was definitely more than 25.
It was about 55 million, I think, 50, 55. And it's crazy how, one bad season and your stock can fall that much. And, you can't, and I think that's kind of evidence of being a bit smarter in the market, finding a player that, yes, he's out of favour, but you can see is a top-notch player, a player that we needed. He adds exactly what we were missing in that central midfield. And we've got a great deal for him. And I think we've done absolutely brilliantly to get him through the door for the price that we've been able to get him in. He seems now really happy with the move, and he seems really comfortable at Tottenham. He seems to have just fitted right in. It's like it's just one of those signings sometimes where he just fit like a glove. It's a bit like Van der Vaart when he signed for Tottenham. He just fit right in, didn't he?
Yep.
And it's like he didn't have a settling in period. He just the club suited him. He suited the club. Everyone. It's like a match made in heaven. Palhinha seems of similar ilk at the moment.
Yeah, and Joe, fair play to Tottenham for doing this. It just goes to show how many times we said we needed experience in certain, like genuine experience. The latter part of their career, like 29, 30, 31, to come in and give their experience to the players around them, not just on the pitch, but off the pitch, in the training ground, the way they conduct themselves. And that there are players that can really benefit the club immediately, like you said, a Van der Vaart and a Palhinha in this instant, where they can come in and offer so much even at that age. And I think we've lost out on players down the years of this age so many times because of the age or no potential resale value. This guy is just a wonderful player at what we desperately needed. There was no okay in a couple of years. He's come in. He was the first midfielder up to 25 tackles, wasn't he, this weekend? And he does what he says on the tin, and it's been a match made in heaven, like you said.
People in the comments saying company didn't sign him. Am I going crazy? No, he definitely did. I'm looking here. Company signed for Bayern 29th of May, and Palhinha signed for Bayern 11th of July.
There you go.
He did sign.
Same year, obviously, yeah?
Same year.
There you go.
Yeah, 2024.
So there you go.
So I've had a few people comment that. Don't know what I'm missing, but it looks like no, he did sign for Company. Anyway, I'm delighted with him.
Oh.
I think at the moment, I think there's a really good chance he's going to sign, isn't there?
I just hope it's done in January.
Yeah.
I think I was talking to you,
Well,
and
it
you
could be
said,
done anytime, doesn't really
yeah,
have to be
I
done,
think you
doesn't
said
it?
like in the summer to see that he doesn't pick up an injury or whatever.
Yeah, just give it.
But I think at 25 million, it is such a steal, and to have it wrapped up and sold and say, right, this one's done, we ain't got to worry at the end of the season where other teams may come in. Right now, whilst he's enjoying his life at Tottenham and loving football again and loving being in London, just get it done. Just get it done. He is I don't see any downside to this deal at all. Not one.
100%. James in the comments says, "Big up, boys. Ben seems to have gotten younger and more handsome."
Well, I'm older than Ben, and when it comes to the handsome, I'm only biased and take my wife's opinion on that. And on that one, I win. But I'm sure Ashley feels the same when it comes to Ben.
And he also says, "Agree, João at 6 is a monster. What do you think of our ideal midfield three?" We'll discuss that after the update. Let's just complete the video. We'll talk about now Radu Drăgușin, who is a player we've been waiting a long time to see. He's a player, interestingly enough, he's been in training. We've seen him in training for a few weeks now, and he's been talking about his recovery. He says because he was talking about, I think the manager wanted to call him up for the international.
Oh, for Romania.
Dragusin's been speaking about the process and shed light on why he was unable to feature for his country this week, stating, "The manager, Lucescu, wanted me back in the team, of course. I wanted to be together with my teammates again and to play for Romania. But on the other hand, I understood that a couple of weeks more, a month more of waiting will help me for the future. Of course, I think I'm already ready now, but in the long term, it will help me to have more stability and safety for a longer career. Tottenham is taking all the measures to come back stronger than before. I tell you that I'm going to come back and be in better shape than I was before the injury and in a better position to continue my career. ACL is one of the worst injuries in football, if not the worst. You need a longer time to recover than most people imagine. You cannot doubt what the medical staff of Tottenham is doing, or the physiotherapist, especially the surgeon who made the surgery. They have the best knowledge and the greatest experience." But those are obviously fighting. It's a bit of fighting talk there from Dragusin saying, "I'm going to be in better shape, and in better shape than I was when I got injured when I come back." Interesting to hear him say that. Obviously, we know ACLs can be extremely lengthy to recover from, even when you come back playing. Some medical suggestions say it can take even up to a year after you start playing again to recover your best form. Obviously, we saw with Bentancur, he actually recovered. He actually got injured at a similar time to what Dragusin did. It was in February time, and he looks to be coming back at a similar time. I remember he came back in that Palace game around around October, November time, wasn't it?
No, Bentancur came. Yeah. Sorry, no, you're right. It was October, November time. Yeah,
October,
exactly.
November time, because he played in that Palace away game. He came on, played in that Chelsea game, and then he had his first start against Villa, then got injured.
Yep.
So that was around October, November. So it looks like they're looking at a similar time frame for Dragusin. But it looks like they're being extra careful with him, because as I've said before, we have seen him in training now for a few weeks. So it's clearly something that, even though he's clearly been in first team training and he's ready to train with his teammates, he's not lagging in that way. You know, he's ready for that. Usually when you're ready for first team training, you should be ready to start getting minutes, but they're being extra careful with him. He's even at a stage where the international manager wants to call him up. That's how ready he is. But it looks like Tottenham are taking every precaution we can. If you cast your mind back to Bentancur, if you remember, when he came back, he actually looked, especially in that Villa game, his first start, he looked amazing.
Yep.
Like, he looked really good. Unfortunately, in that Villa game, he picked up a 3-month injury or 2-month injury in his ankle.
Yep.
And that really set him back a lot, unfortunately. And he's still kind of not, I feel like, recovered his best form, but maybe since before the injury. But he did look quite good when he first came back. Unfortunately, I think circumstances led to him not really hitting the ground running after that injury from Matty Cash. But if Dragusin can come back in a similar vein, I mean, clearly, you know, that's why they're taking every precaution.
Well, first of all, I think there's a few things, again, to say well done to Tottenham all round with, is starting off with, how many times have we said, why don't we act like big clubs and not let our players go on international break if they've got slight knocks or coming back like this from a very long-term injury? Why aren't we saying bring them back on the second game, whatever? So well done again, Tottenham, for sticking firm with this. And it looks like what they're doing again is what they said, what Frank said with Richarlison, wasn't it? Said we're giving him an extra week. We're not going to rush this. We need to make sure we keep an eye on him because of his injury history. It's really good to hear this. And then I think taking the time with it will benefit both Spurs, Dragusin and Romania a lot more than trying to rush him back and get him to do what he can't. And with international duty now, and Romero and Van der Ven and Danso and Ben Davies all away with their countries representing them, he's got time to look at Takai and Dragusin and spend a lot of time with these two and say, right, you guys are coming back to fitness, this is what we're going to do, this is how we play. We've always said as well, Dragusin looked very, very comfortable in a 3 in Genoa, didn't he? And if Spurs go to a 3 at any point, if Spurs go to about 3 at any point, whether it be to rest Romero and Van der Ven, but they want 3 because they don't, or Europe when they decide to do it, the defensive options are opening up again for Thomas Frank, aren't they? The choices and the rotation. Dragusin has the potential to be, like we said, he's an old school defender like Danso, isn't he? They just love to defend. So there could be a great partnership there. There could be part of a 3. But it's good to hear from Dragusin, not his agent.
Yeah, 100%. I've heard him speak.
And he speaks very confidently about coming back and being ready for Spurs. None of this stuff with his agent, Napoli, or if he ain't playing, so it's very refreshing to hear from Dragusin himself.
And I feel like under Frank, he could, because I think under Ange, it was difficult for him to be the best defender he can be because of how Ange liked to play. He likes to leave the defenders isolated. He likes his defenders to cover lots of ground and to be very good on the ball as well. It wasn't Dragusin's game that I felt. He wasn't the best at that. So he struggled, I think, in Ange's system. But under Frank, yes, they still need to be good on the ball, don't get me wrong. And maybe he can work on that. But I think they much more rely on their defenders to defend and be box defenders, and that's what they require a lot of. And I think Dragusin obviously is very good at that stuff. And I think Frank can really develop him. And look, it sounds like maybe in a couple of weeks we could be seeing him, or maybe he says 2 weeks to a month. Okay. So clearly you're trying to be careful with him, but it sounds like it's not far away. No. Dragusin's return. So that's really positive. And they've got another option coming back.
Very positive. Very, very positive.
And last story of the update, we're going to be talking about The Academy and Tottenham are set to appoint Charlton Academy manager Tom Pell, according to the BBC, and into a leading position in their youth setup. Championship club Charlton last week confirmed that Pell would leave the club in December to take up a role at the Premier League side. BBC understands Pell will join Spurs in the coming months, where he will take up a role of head of academy operations and administration. He will replace Donetta Powell, who is leaving Tottenham. Pell was appointed as the Ajax Academy manager in May 22, arriving from Cambridge, where he spent 16 years. Now he'll move across London to take up a senior position with Spurs Academy set up. Now, I can't say I know too much about him, but obviously we can clearly see how much talent is coming through our academy at the moment. Well, I think we're really starting to reap the benefits of implementing this training ground and all these different things that we've implemented over the last 10 years. And obviously, those things, you don't really see the benefits overnight. It happens gradually when you start focusing on young players. And we're seeing a lot. We're seeing about. I mean, if you compare the amount of talent we have now to maybe 5, 6, 7 years ago. I mean, 5, 6, 7 years ago, I couldn't even remember too many young players. We had like Troy Parrott, maybe one, and that was it. Like you would talk about. Winks came through.
Yep.
But now there are so many players.
Yeah,
right? We can talk about young players coming through, having amazing loan spells in our academy at the moment. There's even so many players you can't even imagine how we can all of them get their chances. There's so many you want to give a chance to. I think it's so important we get the right people in place right now to implement this talent, find a pathway from the academy to the first team, and bring out the best, because we have to take advantage of this amazing generation of talent we currently have, because it seems as though right now we have a bit of a golden generation and we can't let it pass us by.
I also think with this appointment, obviously, like you, until you mentioned it today, I didn't even know this man lived on the planet. But I think what we're looking at now is you're talking about the players that are obviously there right now. Maybe he's coming in for the generation behind. And this is now uplifting the youth that are coming through now, not deemed outgrown by the youth and ready to either, as a wise man said yesterday, use them or lose them. I can't remember what wise man next to me said that yesterday. But I think it may be for the next crop of youngsters coming through. And like we said, right now, here with ENIC and all the changes at board level, they are going to start showing what they're made of and start putting plans and their plans into practice, and we'll see where it goes. Obviously, this is someone we don't know a lot about, but if they've seen him, he's gone from Cambridge to Charlton, now to Tottenham. He's had a very good career span, hasn't he? He's gone up and up and up. And
he's only 40, which in coaching terms,
well, it's nothing. Well, especially when he said he's been at Cambridge for 16 years.
Yeah, so I mean, since he was young.
Yeah, very young. So we'll see what he can do, but I think his main focus will be the youngsters we don't know too much about yet. But we'll see when he's finally officially appointed what his actual role will entail.
Yeah, absolutely. So I think hopefully that leads to more talent coming through the academy, and I think long term, I reckon a lot of teams are going to start to give their academy players a lot of more chances. I think for a number of reasons. Number one, if you do sell academy players, that's pure profit now to PSR.
Yep.
And number two, the sustainability of continuing to spend the amount of money that clubs are spending right now is going to hit it's going to burst. That bubble is going to burst at some point. And at some point, you're going to have to, clubs spend all this money on academies, and they're not bringing enough players through in their own teams. And I think there's going to be a big focus on trying to utilise that facility a lot more and trying to get more talented coaches, talented players in their academies to bring through, rather than continuing to spend 50, 60, 70 million every time you want to sign a player. You can bring one through the academy and give them time to nurture. And I think that is going to be a lot more focused in the next 10 years. You're going to see a lot more academy players, I reckon.
Yeah, like I said to you off camera, I think now could be a great time for Spurs to actually use their youth team. And I give one example, but there's probably many that we don't know of. We mentioned when Tim Sherwood was called into Daniel Levy's office about playing Harry Kane. And he said, no, you play Soldado. And he was like, no, I picked the team, I'm playing Kane. Who knows how many other players may have had an opportunity to get through, but because top four was such a big issue or a main thing for them, maybe some youth players were not given their chance when they might have done, and other clubs have done it successfully. Well, we'll see. It may not be that way, but
I actually think that's what fans want when you boil down what football's really about. You know, back in the day, when football just started, it wasn't about signing £50 million players from abroad and having a team stacked of foreigners. It was all about the whole point of football was this area against that area. You know, Manchester, Tottenham. You have players from Tottenham against Manchester, and it was a battle between what area was better, who was better at football. It wasn't about who could sign the better players. So I'd love for football, because football's obviously completely gone away from that for a long time now, right? I haven't seen that kind of thing for, probably since early Premier League days, maybe even before that. Football is no longer, it's more which team's the best, more than like having a resonation with the players on the team and about them coming from the area that you support, and like it's all about pride of where you're from, right? So I'd love football to do on 180 in the next 10 years and have actually a team. You could have a team full of players from that area that you're supporting. That would be amazing. That really would be.
I'll give you the prime example of a game where I was really disappointed we didn't see it. Remember when I came back in 2022 and you, me, Ben and Danny went to Nottingham Forest in the Carabao Cup?
Yeah.
We lost 2-0 and Conte put out a pretty strong team with a majority or a massive, it was first teamers. And I would have, the performance was so poor, I wouldn't have minded if we played the youth or a lot more youth and gone down 2-0. At least it was right, you gave the youth an opportunity. We've had so many opportunities in the past where it's been a time where you could bleed a youngster in or a couple of them in. And I would love nothing more. I remember when I first started going, people like Darren Caskey broke into the Spurs first team. Neil Fenn, Rory Allen. I can remember a lot of youngsters that used to get an opportunity. Obviously, the money in football completely changed then. But I would love it. I'd love to see an Alfie Divine playing in midfield for Tottenham and seeing all these youngsters getting a chance. I'd love nothing more. And hopefully one day we'll get to see it.
All right, well, that is your Tottenham update. Let me know in the comment section below your thoughts on everything we discussed today.